Thank you so much, Rich. Rich Hudson down in Washington for us. And the continuing problems with the rollout of Obamacare have not only hurt the president's credibility, but my next guest says it will probably hurt Democratic candidates for a long time to come. Joining me now is Dan Henninger, editorial page deputy editor at the Wall Street Journal. The Democrats are clearly worried about the impact of President Obama's own failures so far, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Democrats like Senator Jeanne Shaheen in New Hampshire, Mary Landrieu down in Louisiana, Mark Pryor in Arkansas, all of these senators who are running from basically states that Mitt Romney carried, so-called red states, are going to be very concerned about the long-term effects, not only of Obamacare, but the fact that, as everyone knows now, President Obama, for at least a year, the one thing he kept saying about this new law is, if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. If you like your health plan, you can keep your health plan. We now know that for many people, that was false. Not only do we know it was false, they knew it was false when he was saying it. And this raises the issue of the president's credibility, not merely on Obamacare, but as president generally. And when the American public begins to pull back and say, I can't believe an American president anymore, that presidency has some serious problems with its agenda. And I think that's the thing that the Democrats are going to be watching. If Barack Obama's approval rating continues to stay under 40%, which is kind of a tipping point for presidential approval, they're going to, if this rollout creates more problems, House Republicans start talking about putting up repealing parts of it to a vote, you're going to find Democrats beginning to join the Republicans to push back against Obamacare.
Do you think that we are at a tipping point, and this goes to your column today, in terms of our standing in the world?
Yeah. And
do we as a nation get past the point of no return in terms of being a power and being a leader because of the lack of leadership at the Oval Office?
Well, it would take a lot to get the point to pass the point of no return. But I think that the president, indeed, Dagan, has lost a lot of credibility internationally. I mean, you had at the end of the year the extraordinary display of Saudi Arabia basically pulling back its long-term alliance with the United States and saying, we are going to go it alone. And just last week, they said they're going to ship $3 billion of aid to Lebanon to bolster its army, to offset the fact that we're not doing anything.
And to offset Iran's power.
Yeah, and you were hearing this all over the world, that we don't believe the United States is going to be there when we need them. Certainly the Syrian rebels feel that way. And this has a kind of generalized effect around the globe. And countries, first of all, our friends start pulling back and the enemies start pushing forward and testing the water, so to speak. How far can they go?
Well, if you can't or won't lead on your signature issue domestically, what does it say to the rest of the world? And your column was a little bit scary, because when you read the list of countries that are problematic for us, it's scary. Russia, the Ukraine, China, Egypt, Syria, and Iran, just to name a few of them.
Yeah, they're all shaking. Egypt obviously is now being run by a de facto military junta. People are talking about Assad winning in Syria. And meanwhile, the president is trying to negotiate a nuclear arms reduction deal with the Iranians, who are probably not negotiating in good faith. So all of this, I think, makes observers back in Washington watch the president and try to figure out, what does he think he's doing? He's pursuing these kind of quixotic enterprises like Iran, while the rest of the world that we're not paying much attention to is really beginning to shake, especially China and its relationship with its neighbors. And that, I'm convinced, redounds back into the president's domestic agenda. How much clout does this president have? How much political capital to push through something like immigration reform, or to push back when Obamacare gets into more trouble over the next 6 months? Right. That's what's going to make Democrats nervous in 2014.
And if the rollout continues to go poorly, then trying to tell the American people, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, it's really going well, is just not going to work and hurts his credibility even.
Yeah, well, these patches that they keep putting on the law, it's going to suggest that the law was inherently flawed from the beginning.
Right.
And, if they have problems at the back end, if small business owners, for instance, keep saying, my premiums are going up much more than I expected, this is just going to be like a slow death of dripping across 2014 for him.
Always great to see you, Dan. Happy New Year.
All right, same to you, Dan.
On a high note, on a better note, Dan Henninger of the Wall Street Journal. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. From